Thanks for joining me today. I'm Danny Barker with eXp Realty. I run a nationwide network to make sure that you are working with the right professionals when it comes to lenders and realtors out there in the United States. So, I'm going to talk to you about my rule number 3. Rule number 3 is love to own the property. You must love to own the property to put this property in your portfolio and treat it the right way. Rules number 1 and 2, we'll go over those real quick, which is rule number 1. Always, always, always buy what you can afford. Rule number 2, always be happy to live in the property. And then when you add rule number 3, love to own that property is the most important part. And here's the thing. A lot of people most people I would say, start their home search with what can I afford? They go through a lender, they get a pre-approval, and then the pre-approval says this is the amount. Let's say that amount is $550,000 with a $500 HOA if you're shopping in San Diego. And it's $600,000 if you're shopping for a house somewhere outside of San Diego. Sorry, it's really expensive here. So let's get down to it. That does not mean that you can afford that house, right? So let's first start with, what property would I love to own? That's a really big question, right? We can jump straight to the forever home and say this many acres, this size of a house, with this guest house, with this outbuilding being a workshop or a garage, and a pond, waterfront, a dock. All of these things could go into play on what I would afford, on what I would be happy to live in, and what I would love to own. But first, let's say, hey, let's be reasonable right now. We might not be able to afford that dream home, but there's plenty of properties that we can afford, that we would be happy to live in, that we would love to own. So here's where I'm at on this whole thing. I just got back from my vacation and I spent an entire week in the Outer Banks in a vacation rental. In that vacation rental, I realized all of these houses in this particular area are vacation rentals. So I'm paying thousands of dollars to stay here for 1 week. Let me look at the data on that. Right now, all of that goes into what I can afford. But the real rule that I'm trying to meet here is, what would I love to own? I would love to own a beach cottage in the Outer Banks that I can rent out when I'm not using it, and block it off when I want to use it. So that when I want to visit my in-laws, when I want to go enjoy the beach, which is better than San Diego beaches, by the way, the Outer Banks in North Carolina is by far the best beach experience that I've ever had in my life. And I was there. I have been around there. I've gone there once a year for 25 years. And for 25 years, I have been wishing that I could afford to stay in one of these for 1 week. When I back it up, I realize that it's more affordable for me to stay in the property for 1 week every year if I own the property. Well, that's interesting, because I would love to own one of these. I would love to pick my week and just block it off, right? So now I have to work it backwards. I would love to own it. I would love to own one of these properties. Well, how do I apply rule number 3 on a vacation rental? Well, I would love to stay there. So now I'm starting to look at the practical use of the layouts. Where is the property? Where's the closest public beach access? Is it walking distance? We don't want our vacation stayers to be able to have to load up the car and drive and find a parking spot. We would love for them to be able to just walk from the cottage right to the beach, right? So I just wanted to emphasize that, you guys out there, we have to really start focusing our energy on building the portfolio that is right for us, right? I love my house in Guam. I love my house in San Diego. I love my house in Florida. I love my house in North Carolina. I love owning these properties, and I want to own a vacation rental on the beach that will actually end up being cheaper to own it and stay in it for a week every year, maybe even 2 or 3 if I go in the off season, and it'll pay for itself, and it'll be mine, and it'll be paid off one day, and I'll be handing it down to my next generation one day, right? So I just wanted to make this quick video for this week based on my rule number 3. Rule number 3, love to own it. Love that you own it. Love that it's in your portfolio. Why, oh, why is this the most important part of it all is because it is expensive to own real estate. And I don't want you to go out and buy property that it becomes expensive to own it because of a maintenance item, your HVAC, your roof, your foundation, your wood repairs, right? Your kitchen, your bathrooms, all of these things that are your responsibility as the owner. You have to love to own this property. So what better property for me and my family to own next but that vacation rental out in the Outer Banks of North Carolina? And here we go. Now I have to figure out what is the affordability. So I've got to meet with the lender and get pre-approved. And if my pre-approval does not support purchasing one of these, I have to then make a roadmap. Oh, okay, so I have to pay this off. I've got to pay that off. I've got to position this money over here. If I have these reserves over there, I've got to pay myself more from my business. I've got to start paying myself from the stocks. These are all things that could go into getting pre-approved for it. So instead of looking at what am I pre-approved for and working my way to what I would be happy to live in and what I would love to own, why not go, I would love to own it, I'd be happy to live in it, and then figure out how can I afford it. And if you want to have a conversation like that about how do I afford what I really love and what I would be happy to live in, let's have a meeting. Go to DannyBarkerRealtor.com. Share your information with me. I'll be in touch with you and we'll get you on my calendar. We can do one-on-one Zooms until the cows come home and you are ready. You have a plan to execute. I look forward to meeting with you and can't wait to see you win.